Welcome to Rich Tribe. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're exploring a seriously counterintuitive idea. Getting rich is actually way more about who you become along the way rather than just the raw cash you manage to stack up. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're sitting there saying, hold on a second, isn't that just a convenient, feel-good fairy tale? Because let's be real, when you look out at the world, it often seems like most rich people just got incredibly lucky, inherited a trust fund, or ruthlessly stepped on everyone else to get to the top. So are we really going to sit here and pretend that morality builds wealth? It's a completely fair challenge. Think about the whole Victorian myth of the self-made millionaire that's been around forever. People love to cite guys like Samuel Lister, a Victorian mill owner who supposedly pulled himself up by his bootstraps. But historically, he actually inherited a massive fortune from his dad and then literally cut his workers' wages right before Christmas, driving them to strike. So you have to ask, isn't the idea of the self-made millionaire just propaganda to justify inequality? Does your character actually matter at all? That is a completely valid historical pushback for sure, but the modern data paints a totally different picture. Look at Brian Tracy's extensive research into wealth creation. He found that more than 90% of all financially successful people today started off totally broke or nearly broke. And this isn't just an isolated fluke. This is heavily backed up by Tom Corley's incredible 5-year study of 233 millionaires. He discovered that a staggering 76 to 90% of them were entirely self-made. They didn't inherit a dime. The modern landscape has fundamentally changed. So let's get into how they actually do it. Section 1. Mindset beats starting point. The psychology of wealth. If these folks started out broke, what was the internal engine that drove them? The hard science behind this is absolutely fascinating. The British Psychological Society analyzed a massive data set of German residents, specifically separating people who inherited their wealth from those who built it from scratch. And they found a highly unique personality profile among the self-made crowd. They are highly risk-tolerant, way more open to new experiences, extroverted, and fiercely conscientious. But crucially, they also display much lower neuroticism. It's this remarkably resilient, emotionally stable profile that the inheritors simply did not share to the same degree. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I buy the psychology, but how do traits like being open to experiences actually put cash in the bank? It all comes down to daily application and focus. Take a look at T. Harv Eker's psychological principles. A poor mindset plays the money game completely on defense. They play not to lose. Their brain is constantly scanning the horizon for fear, obsessing over problems. It's like hovering over your banking app just praying a bill doesn't bounce. But a rich mindset, because of that openness and emotional stability, they play the game to win. They focus on opportunities and growth. It's the literal difference between trying to survive your bills and actively plotting to thrive. Eker uses this brilliant balloon analogy to explain it. Imagine you are the balloon, and money is the air. If you lack the internal character, the personal capacity to hold that money, and someone just blows a massive amount of wealth into your life, that balloon is just going to stretch, distort, and eventually pop. Your wealth can literally only grow to the extent that you do. If you aren't ready on the inside, sudden big wealth will just blow up your life and disappear. All right, let's look at the gritty, practical side of this. Section 2. Character drives financial outcomes, building value. 32 years. According to Corley's data, that is exactly how long it takes the average saver investor to build their millions. Over 3 decades of consistent effort. That requires extreme, almost painful patience. You need profound delayed gratification and the iron discipline to not upgrade your lifestyle when all your peers are financing flashy cars they can't actually afford. Think about it. Those aren't just financial strategies. Those are deep moral character traits. You literally cannot stick to a 32-year wealth plan if you lack basic self-discipline. And you see this character shaping everyday decisions too. The Secret Entourage Business Academy points out a core habit. Financially poor people buy based on pricing, but self-made millionaires buy based on value. Prioritizing long-term value over short-term cheapness is a fundamental moral lesson. It's about seeing the true worth of things, investing heavily in your own education, and understanding that buying cheap almost always costs you more in the long run. To directly answer that ruthless shark challenge from earlier, it really comes down to what Zig Ziglar said. You can get everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. True wealth creation in a free market relies on repeat business and trust. And trust, that requires absolute integrity. Serving others, adding immense value to their lives, and keeping your word is the foundational asset of all real business transactions. You simply can't fake that for 32 years. But wait, I hear the skepticism creeping back in. Section 3, the wealth amplifier effect, empathy versus ego. You're probably saying, come on, wealthy people often seem incredibly out of touch, greedy, or totally lacking in basic compassion. And you know what? The hard data actually backs that up. Research by Dasher Keltner from UC Berkeley shows that lower-income individuals actually give a higher proportion of their money to strangers in lab tests than wealthy people do. The researchers even noted that upper-class folks tend to adopt an ideology of putting self-interest first. So how on earth can we claim wealth is built on strong moral character when the data shows a noticeable drop in empathy at the top? Well, the Berkeley data is absolutely real, but here is the crucial pivot, the real game changer. Wealth doesn't change you. It just amplifies who you already are. Money is simply a magnifying glass. If you lack empathy and character before you get money, wealth is just going to breed an ideology of pure ego and self-interest. It exposes your existing flaws to the whole world. That's exactly why building your character first before the big money arrives is absolutely non-negotiable. Real quick, before we move on to the ultimate secret of true wealth and how to avoid the biggest mistakes the rich make, if you are finding value in this explainer, please subscribe to the Rich Tribe channel. Like, comment, and share. It really helps us continue bringing you these deep dives. All right, let's bring it all home. Section 4, the true meaning of wealth, avoiding rich regrets. Say you do the hard work. You delay gratification for decades and achieve ultimate financial freedom. How do you avoid getting to the finish line and realizing you ran the totally wrong race? Financial advisor Mel Abraham actually studied the most common regrets of the wealthy. Number 1, the total emptiness of wealth without deep, meaningful relationships to share it with. Number 2, a joyless journey where they were so fixated on the end goal, they forgot to live in the present. And number 3, sacrificing their physical health for financial success, only to spend all their money trying to buy their health back. Turns out, your final words are rarely, "I wish I bought a third yacht." Millions in the bank mean absolutely nothing without meaning and connection. The financial mentor, who is a self-made millionaire himself, emphasizes this heavily based on his own life. He realized that a life without meaningful work, a clear purpose, and a creative outlet is basically its own kind of prison, regardless of your net worth. The goal isn't just to stack cash so you can sit on a beach and do nothing. The real goal is lifestyle design. It's about building a life that aligns perfectly with your values and brings you active, creative joy every single day. And just look at how the happiest, most fulfilled millionaires from Corley's study actually live. They actively protect their character and their joy through strict daily habits. Step 1, 76% of them exercise daily to prioritize their physical health above all else. Step 2, 81% use to-do lists to be completely intentional with their time, refusing to let the day run them. And crucially, step 3, 73% pay it forward by actively mentoring others. They live frugally, and they invest deeply in the next generation. So, seeing it laid out systematically like this really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? It's clear that the path to sustainable, fulfilling wealth isn't just about spreadsheets. It's actually a rigorous path of intense personal development. The money is literally just the byproduct of the person you've built. And that leaves us with one lingering, provocative question to wrap up today. If wealth simply amplifies who you are you choosing to become right now? Think about that as you go through your day. Thanks for joining us on Rich Tribe, and we'll see you next time.